Thank you, Mikko and Kari, for the nice invitation to give a comment on the Faktabari new AI guide. My name is Kristian Smedlund, and I working at the Finnish National Agency for Education. So I'm representing the EduFi right now. I have to admit, and it was a joy to read not every word in the guide. I haven't had time, but most of it, and it looks very good. I would say I'd say thank you to Kari for doing a great job, very diligent, hard-working man. So it's very important for Finnish teachers and education and teachers to this guide and the in-service training that you provide. Some comments on the guide. It starts with an honest acknowledgement to previous international guidelines and recommendations. The EU material, of course, the AI Act is a very important foundation for guidelines, AI guidelines, and UNESCO and UNICEF as well, OECD. Those international recommendations and guidelines have been very important for us as well at the EduFi when we have worked out AI recommendations as well, as Kari mentioned. To me, we have a nice balance between the areas of AI. We know it's not easy to get a nice balance between the areas because of it's a quite complicated area, isn't it? The double-edged sword, for example, we should use AI in schools, in classrooms, to learn for the AI to get more skilled, have the AI literacy we need, but also be aware of the risks with too much reliance of AI, generative AI, particularly. Myself, I have a math as a major and computer science as a major minor, so I'm very interested of how AI works. What about under the bonnet? How it is working? How is the machine working? And you have a nice try of opening the black box, somewhat, a little anyway. How generative AI works, data points and tokens, vectorization, and neural networks, and statistical models and probabilities, which are in the black box. We are all. Sometimes you use the term black box for AI, and it's challenging when you not know how something works. But anyway, I've heard experts explaining, for example, how to drive a car. You don't have to know everything about how the machine works under the bonnet to drive a car. So it's how you drive it, which will be, of course, in focus. The ethics section of AI, the ethics of AI section in the guide is very extensive, including the benefits with AI and the risks. I really have noticed it's quite reminiscent of the background material of the AI recommendations which we have worked out. It's a summary which Kari just showed something of. We have a quite broad background supportive material. I was responsible for the ethics and sustainability section part, and it reminds quite a lot of that Kari has written. So Kari was also in the working group, the working group of the ethics section. A strong focus on critical evaluation of GenAI-produced material. I think it's very much in line with Faktabaari's mission of critical thinking, critical evaluation of online materials as well, in general. And that's very important, the critical evaluation of GenAI-produced material. It has also an easy-to-read summary of the AI Act. It's a critical section, which I mentioned there because even the experts, the professors of law, are interpreting the AI Act. It's not an easy act with the 400-something sides of law text. But Tarmo has done a good job there to interpret the AI Act and the levels of risks, which will be the real. It's not so much. I don't believe teachers have the. I don't think they will use. They will not. They are not able to. They can't read the AI Act, and we can't expect them to know the AI Act. But something, the basic foundation is very good to know. And the assessment, AI assessment scale, AIA as the first scale. I think it's something. It's very concrete. So I think it's very good that you have included that as well in the material. And you had a process of documentation there as well.
It's also in Swedish.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It was something in the Finnish text I didn't really understand. It was something of the assessment of using full AI, but I think it should be okay. I suppose. I just remembered one colleague from the Ministry of Education when we have had our discussions, and we don't want a situation when AI is producing assignments and AI is checking the assignments. That's not a situation that we want. So we should be careful at every step. You have also included information about the Generation AI projects and applications. Jari Laru is the writer of that one. So it's of course, it's expected that he had included. It's very important for us in Finland that we have high quality research about AI in education. And the applications like a learning machine and the social media machine, which they have published, especially the learning machine, which is good for the enhancement of the AI literacy, to get a feel, small children who get a feel about learning a machine, to understand, to classify pictures, for example, cats and dogs, to separate cats and dogs. Machine learning for kids, an English site, Dale Lane. It's just one person who is running the site. It's reminiscent of the learning machine, but there, on that site there are quite many projects to learn from and to use. So it's very nice that we have those types of websites when you can enhance the AI literacy in a very concrete way by loading lots of pictures and letting the computer classify those pictures. You have also a viewpoint of an education provider and a teacher, which is very good, from the field, so to say, and information about deep fakes and recommendation algorithms in social media. So, very nice balance of common knowledge around AI and its use in education. So I wondered, is there anything missing in the guide? Those of you who have written and read, have anyone read the guide yet? Something on of it. Do you miss anything? What about the writers? Is it anything you would have taken into account? If you yeah, you can have a few minutes to think about that. Not much. I didn't find much, but something maybe. The ecological sustainability aspect. If you should search for something, then I would miss maybe the ecological sustainability, because it's so it's very hard. It's very difficult to get the sustainability aspect integrated in computer science and in computing, in whatever you do on a computer or online. The sustainability aspect. I think there's a power-hungry processing. If you like, you can Google on power-hungry processing. There's a very good article or research about the energy intensiveness of generative AI. I think it was Stella Lee, a Canadian expert at our digital learning arena in December. She told us that there has been 150 billion pictures made, AI-produced pictures made in a year. Far more than all the photos that has been taken so far. So that's quite much. Of course, everything is, especially pictures, generative pictures, AI-produced pictures are energy intensive. It can vary from 60 times or even 6,000 times more than producing text producing, regarding depending on the AI, the GenAI system or application. So something about that. Yeah, we have a comment there.
Is this on?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't hear as if it was on, but anyway. So I have to admit I haven't read everything, mostly the titles, and I will have to read it. But from what I know, what would make Faktabari have to work a lot is to create this for university level people and students who are now kind of already above the kind of, okay, do an essay, but actually are interested in using AI for facilitating their research, who are lazy and, well, not necessarily lazy, but like who think, quote unquote, pragmatically and say, okay, I have this many papers to read, why not just put some AI tool to summarize it for me? And I'm in the position myself, I work for Faktabari, and I do a lot of media literacy workshops for high schoolers. But I went to school, university before this trend became a big thing. And for me, it's just awful to think that you wouldn't read those like 500 pages and you would just like put that into, like, it just doesn't really compute in my head. But there are some people who say like, oh, like, it's just pragmatic and easy. And I think we have to reach those people and talk about the ethics and maybe use the language and talk about pragmatism and what is possible, what is desirable and what is not desirable. But I do think for that we need to make another AI guide for, I don't know, university students and beyond, like researchers, and yeah, interested in hearing thoughts about this from everyone.
Yes, thank you very much. I continue with the sustainability, and it belongs to ethics. I think it's of the 7 principles that Nguyen et al., the research team with Finnish and New Zealand researchers have developed. There are the 7 principles of ethics, and the 4th one is the principle of ethics and sustainability and proportionality. But anyway, it could have been something about multitask, task-specific. We could prefer task-specific systems or applications in front of instead of multi-purpose systems or applications. For example, in translation. For example, when you just search for information, you don't have to use generative AI to search for information. It's enough with a simple Google search, just to look for the right information. That's 2 examples of task-specific applications. An overall challenge regards all AI materials, and that's when are we processing AI or discussing AI systems used in education overall, including learning analytics, and when are we discussing generative AI? It's not easy to, when you are discussing both types, several kinds of AI systems. What are we discussing, Gen AI or common AI? It could be any system which are not existing yet. For example, in ethics. As Kari said, the AI recommendations, our EduFee's AI recommendations draft is on public consultations. Our policy is not to show any material before it's published, so I can't show. I don't want to show anything, but Kari just showed something. That's fine. The draft in Finnish, if you draft in Finnish and Swedish, is easily you can search it on. I don't know, but if you get this material, then you can click on these links to have a look at them. The AI recommendations consist of legal obligations and recommendations for education providers and teachers. And recommendations are a cooperation between EduFee, National Agency for Education, and the Ministry of Education and Culture. They are based on a broader background material which has been worked out in a broad cooperation between us, EduFee, and teachers and experts, namely teachers and researchers. So it's not just we counselors at EduFee who are behind these AI recommendations. And that's also the news in Swedish, if there are Swedish listeners here from Sweden or Finnish Swedes. I could give something which I have given a thought. I thought I would do that. This is the revision of the taxonomy, of the Bloom taxonomy from 2001. Anderson Krathwohl is very well known. I think we are in the focus of analyzing texts. I think when we are using generative AI, producing texts, then we should analyze the text, take the important parts, analyze the important parts, the core of the text, and evaluate the text which is produced. Okay, so it's quite clear that this is an interesting framework. It's cumulative from left to right. You have to remember, you have to understand facts. Facts and concepts are a very strong foundation, and understanding the facts and the concepts before you can evaluate any material. Okay? So it goes from left to right. So it's very much about the cognitive process, the level of thinking about evaluation materials. In the framework, it's there are two, checking and critiquing, so it can be applied to any kind of, also in math, physics, natural science, this framework, no problem. But in this, maybe in this regard, we are judging or evaluating AI-produced material. As I said, it goes from left to right. But now, if we overuse, as Kari mentioned, if we start to rely too much on AI, then what are following? What's the result of that? Is it as I see this, then it's the possibility of getting from right to left. We start to create maybe pupils. We have the risk that pupils start to completing assignments too fast using AI, and maybe not initiating planning and structuring an assignment, but a little bit fast, a little bit maybe too fast to create from scratch to completion. So is that the direction when we are using generative AI? I don't know if you have probably not seen this. So it was just yesterday evening when I thought I would give this one a thought. There was a Swedish research last year. They have done research about. It was in autumn last year. Quite new research. Research about the use and perceived usefulness of generative AI in relation to the executive functioning, the youth's, adolescents' executive functioning. Very interesting. Executive functioning and academical achievement. So the findings reveal that adolescents with EF problems, they tend to perceive generative AI tools as more useful for schoolwork, and especially for completing assignments. So it's they don't, if they have problems with executive functioning, so they don't use it for planning, initialize and plan and structure problems or assignments. Maybe too fast they go too fast to the completing. So that's the researchers they conceive it as a risk. It could have negative implications for the long-term learning outcomes and the natural development of the EF, executive functioning. So there are quite risk for cognitive development, not getting the cognitive development they would need. So that's one of the risks. But they also told the other side of using AI because of some special needs in pupils, different special needs that pupils have. It could be useful to also use AI for individualization, which is also something written about in this AI guide. So there's always this double-edged sword because of the risks and possible uses and usefulness of AI. Maybe I could stop with the quote from the final words. Further research and from the Swedish research. Further research and proactive measures are essential to ensure the safe and effective use of these technologies, while also considering their implications for academic equity and cognitive development among adolescents, pupils, and students. So I think something about the risks and the benefits of AI. Yeah. Do we have time for some questions now, Mikko?
We would. Please. Thank you very much, Kristian. First of all, applause. And we have we have time for a couple of questions and remarks and something. First of all, I take it as a super endorsement, of course, and it was very nice to hear. I didn't even introduce myself, so I'm the executive director of the Faktabari, and we have gathered forces to publish it. So this would be the kind of a very good first aid, at least for the teachers, because starting tomorrow, we are going to distribute this one to the 700 first teachers as such, and it will be in line with the recommendations while providing them material now, because that was one of the starting points for us, that people need in the field something now, and this is how we also see ourselves, like we can catalyze the things, because obviously it takes a little bit more time in the administration.
Yes, I understand the critique, because when we don't have published them yet, it's been quite much blood, sweat, and tears in the working of the background materials. We have jurists and the lawyers, because the foundation is the AI Act and the GDPR, of course. We have to be. I think you have a little bit more degrees of freedom at NGO like Faktabari, a little bit more at least than EduFi, because the responsibility is is massive.
Yeah.
And also for you, of course, and for everybody who are publishing material about AI guidelines in education, because it's a high risk field.
No, and this was not like a pure direct. I think it's still what I've understood, and please let's extrapolate a little bit from Finland within the 5 minutes, but still we are kind of going on. We will have that one, but this is where the NGOs can come into picture, and the kind of activist based on expert knowledge, that because something is needed. This is something we learned with Kari 2 years ago in US, when it was full-scale adoption without anything. So this is a kind of, we still want to believe that this is preventive work. But perhaps after that one, Esa, is there something online? No. Okay. So practically, I was wondering that we obviously understood and took into consideration also in the preparations that it should be quite well adaptable, at least in the Nordic countries extent, because we have relatively similar education system, if I got it right. But what would you see, like we have online like people from 15 different countries within the Europe, within the EU, for example. So by reading the guide when it's published, let's say latest in March, hopefully already now in February in English, the full scale. So what would you say that, because it's to some extent contextual, but how well this Kari kind of lives with the expectations in other countries as well?
So I can already inform the international people in the online and here that the translation is not full translation. There is some adaptation on the content. So the English version is a little bit less Finnish concentrated. It's but the Swedish version, because we have a Swedish-speaking minority in Finland, will be exact copy of the Finnish version. But the English version will be an international version. So there is slightly different examples and sources and also some content.
Okay, so you don't need to know the Finnish education system to understand the content.
Yes, that's exactly the point.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, very reassuring. Thank you. Is there any other questions from the floor or online? Please.
Not really a question, more of a thank you. As someone who does the legwork to help the teachers to get all the information about the new stuff on AI and anything digital, I'm really happy that the guideline you did is short enough for teachers to actually read, because that really helps bringing the point to the action. Because too many times I have seen such a long instructions and obligations and all these texts that no one actually reads. This is really, there are all the points you need, and they are in very compact form. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you for the comment, and having kind of observed the process, as far as I understand, half the writers are more or less teachers from the origin, so it helps as well. Please.
Was this a comment on EduFi? Okay, thanks. I think that there was the cooperation with the ministry has been very good now, and I think the background material, thanks to all who was in the edition of the background material. So without the background material, which we have, which we also will publish, I would say I thought that it could get some critique because of not being enough those guidelines in the concrete work for teachers. I expect some kind of critique as well. The last time we had done public consultation, I think there was almost 100 replies and comments, official comments. So I think there will be some comments, all kinds of those. And it's good. It's very good. We take them into consideration, and we get a better material.
Just one more comment. I'm one of the authors, but I still say this. Kari Kivinen, you thanked us as well as everybody involved, but I mean, you're the heart of this project. You started with the first guide, and now we're here, and this will be in 3 languages. So a round of applause to Kari.
Thank you, Minna. That is very important. Yeah.
I think my colleague Pasi said something about lifting up the computer science, and it's the computational thinking. I think it's a very important skill, and now there are listeners in all over Europe, and I think in all the countries we are taking into consideration the computational thinking, and everyone is understanding its importance. So I've been for the EU Code Week. For a few years I've been an edu coordinator, national coordinator for Finland. I've been on events in Europe and in Brussels, and we see how the computational thinking skills are how we work on them in different ways. In some countries we integrate computational thinking in maths, in subjects maths. Some countries it's a transversal skill, and in some countries it's its own subject. So we do it in different ways, but I think we consider it a very important skill. It's a very important skill, computational thinking. It's not so easy to define computational thinking. Algorithmic thinking as well. It's more simple, but I think we know how important it is, but we do it in different ways in all over Europe, which is very nice.